Okay, so last time we talked about how to format things. Just a quick brief overview in case you're jumping in at this point. In order to get this to dollars, we highlighted the numbers that were there and clicked the dollar sign. To get these percentages, we had to change them from 80 to 0.8 and then hit the percentage over here and it converted it into percentage. This time, we're going to focus on how do you actually use some different formulas within a spreadsheet program. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to click down here and we're going to type in equals, and I'm going to say 2 and then plus 3. And we're going to hit enter and see what happens. We can see that it actually adds those two together. If instead I hit equals and I say, let's say 4 times 7, using the asterisk for 7, we'll see that it actually comes out with 28. If I said, let's say 3 and then a caret for squared, and then hit enter, we'll notice that it leaves it as a text because I forgot to tell the Sheets program that this is actually a formula I wanted to calculate. So in order to fix that, I'm going to go back and I'll hit equals and then re-enter my data. So equals 3 squared, and we'll see this comes out to 9. So like I mentioned before, each of these cells is essentially a calculator, and it will calculate different things. So that's the basics of it. The other thing it will do is you can tell it to be equal to another cell. So for example, if I want to say that this cell is actually equal to this one right here, I can say equals, and I can either click that cell or I can go ahead and select or type in B8 and it will say that that cell is equal to this one right here. It's kind of a useful feature. We'll get into why that would be useful later on. One of the more kind of common formulas that we often use are summation and average. So to sum things, what you'll go ahead and do is you'll hit equals, and then you'll type in the word sum. Now there are many different types of sums. You just want a basic sum. Then you'll notice that once you select that, it asks you to enter several different values. At this point, I could say some different things, such as the value of 2, 3, and 4, and what it would do is add 2, 3, and 4 together. In this case, because I had formatted it as dollars, it'll say that 2 plus 3 plus $4 is $9. If instead I wanted it to sum a cell, I would go back and I would say sum. I can type in the open parenthesis or select the sum formula from above. And then instead, what I can do is click and drag to highlight the cells I'm interested in it summing, and it will sum those for me. At this point I can hit enter, or I can properly close the parenthesis and then hit enter, and we'll see that this sums up to $5. The other thing to note is that if you want to see a quick sum without actually having to type that formula in, if you are clicking and dragging over an entire cell, then over a couple cells, then the ones that you click and drag to highlight will actually be summed over here in the bottom right corner. Now you can change what it does down here, such as counting or the minimum or the maximum or average or things along those lines, but I find the sum is probably the most useful, like quick feature to use for that. So here we can see it quickly sum that up. That way if I don't want to type in the actual formula, it'll figure that out for me. I can quickly see if that was the correct number and then move on and do something else. Now what we're going to do Sorry about that, a little freeze. Now what we're going to do is we are going to work on averaging. So let's pretend I have 3 test scores and I want to average those two. You might look at this and go, oh, if I'm averaging 80 and 90, that's 85, and then averaging 85 into that, this will be 85. So it's a quick mental double check. But what we can do is now also have it average it by hitting equals, and then you start typing in the word average. Spelt it wrong there. But we have the word average. If you select average, you can now, again, just like the summation, either enter the values you want, like 80, 90, etc., or more usefully, I can click and drag to highlight the cells I want it to average, close the parenthesis, and hit enter, and we'll see that it actually equals 85%. And so this found the average of those 3 test scores. If instead, this is where it comes in really handy, I realize, oh, I actually entered this test score incorrectly, I can change this to, let's say, 95%, and the average will automatically update for me. That's one of the huge benefits of using a Sheets program is as you start to change a little bit of data, you can see automatically and very quickly what its effects will be on different calculations. That's it for this one in covering how to enter formulas into cells as well as how to look at specifically the sum, average, and kind of the quick auto add or auto sum down here. In the next one, we'll start working with how to fill down formulas, so how to repeat a formula over and over again.